We spoke maybe a few weeks back, and it's amazing to just understand and learn a little bit about your story. And I definitely wanted more people to hear that story.
We had about $15 million in assets under management. In order to remain an SEC registered advisor, we had to have $25 million by April 1. We blew through that pretty quickly. We went from 15 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to over 100 over a 3-year period.
And that's almost like what you call in today's startup world, hockey stick growth.
The secret sauce was we did everything for the client. We did very little marketing. We weren't out trying to build the biggest practice. We just wanted to build the most client-centric practice.
Did it ever feel like you needed to hire more people and just grow even further?
We never felt overwhelmed. We came in at 9 o'clock in the morning and basically left at 5. We didn't care about making money. I mean, we made money as a result of doing good work for our clients. And the clients brought in other clients who brought in other clients. We did almost no marketing. I would tell clients in initial meetings, managing your money is only worth 25 basis points. You can go to online platforms and for 25 basis points, they'll manage your portfolio just fine. What are you getting for the other 75 basis points you're paying for? If you're not getting real advice, if you're not getting life planning, if you're not getting those financial questions answered that you need, you're in the wrong relationship.
Obviously, you're working with multiple generations. Did they think alike, or did you have to kind of change how you engaged?
I mean, we had web portals and electronic statements. Most of our clients still wanted paper statements. That is changing, but we stuffed envelopes every quarter.
A lot is changing and very fast, but I think the basics of advisory remains the same. Where tech can come in is to help optimize some of the workflows. Obviously, that will incrementally or exponentially change in the coming years.
Computers weren't all that powerful in those days. It took 1 hour to calculate a financial plan. And if you made a mistake and had to retype something, it took another hour to reformat the whole thing and do it all over again. Now we push a button. Our financial planning software is fast enough that we can change scenarios, push a button, and it flashes up in 3 seconds.
Hello, Jack. How are you?
Good.
Great. It's nice to see you again, Jack. I know we spoke maybe a few weeks back, and it was amazing to just understand and learn a little bit about your story. And I definitely wanted more people to hear that story. So, very thankful that you've kind of given us some time. We're honored to have you on Advisor Ally today.
Where would you like to begin?
I think the best thing to do would be to start with the journey, right? So obviously, I know you kind of started in the advisory world, working with Harold Evensky, the legend, as you mentioned, and then went on to build your own, into 800 million AUM firm. I know you're happily retired now, but tell us a little bit about, start to...
Well, my journey began as a symphony orchestra manager. I spent the first nearly 20 years of my career in the arts, 17 of those managing symphony orchestras in Albany, New York, Louisville, Kentucky, Miami, and even in college, I managed an orchestra here in Arlington. And I was the 10th manager in 11 years of the orchestra I went to in Miami, and I shut the orchestra down 6 months after I moved to Miami. So I went back and got an MBA, CFP, and when I was studying for my CFP, I met Harold Evensky. What I really wanted to do was be a strategic planner, and nobody would hire me. I was 40 years old. I had a beard. I went to all the banks, all the businesses in town. They said, lose the beard. We'll start you in management training program for 20 grand a year. And I said, that's all well and good, but I've been a senior executive managing multi-million-dollar firms and 100-person payrolls for the last 15 years. It'll take me 6 months to learn your business. These kids are going to take 20 years to learn what I'm bringing to you now. Nobody was interested. None of those corporations that I interviewed with are still in business. They all went belly up. The banks folded. There's no major bank in Florida now. Anyhow, so I met Harold Evensky, and he said he was working with Drexel Burnham LaBear at the time, selling junk bonds, and, he was a broker. And he said, no, I'm a real financial planner. I have a CFP. I took a course with him. He went out on his own to form Evensky Brown with his cousin. And he said, Jack, you want to join the firm? That was 1986, October 1st of 1986. I was one of his first partners, and we spent 5 years together learning the business. It was a commission business there. There was also Evensky Brown Investments, and it was a terrific learning experience, but that really wasn't what I wanted to do. He didn't really want to manage a firm. All the partners were individual practices, individual silos, as we called them. And then Thanksgiving weekend of 1991, they decided they would go fee only, and you had to do X and X and such and such. And I said, it's time for me to go out on my own. I went out as a fee-only planner as well. I kept my licenses for a few years, ultimately gave them up. And I was a solo practitioner until I met my first partner, Carol Kaufman, the fall of December of 1996, 10 years after I was already in business.
And that was quite a story as well, right? Sorry to interrupt, Jack.
Yes, we had a 3-hour lunch. She was referred by Evensky, actually. She wanted a mentor. She had a fresh CFP. She'd spent 10 years with her family. She had 3 kids, and she said it was time to go back to work. I said, I'll mentor you. Just bring a computer and a desk, show up on Monday, and we built the firm together. After a year, I said, find us a new office. We incorporated, we moved our SEC registration, and 3 years later, I gave her half the firm for sweat equity. And it was the best decision I ever made. She made me rich, and we built a wonderful practice. We added a third partner several years later after a lot of research. He's now managing the firm now. Carol's going to retire in December. And we added 2 more other partners and another CFP. And it was a wonderful ride. I spent 37 years building the firm.
It's incredible. And Jack, I didn't quite catch last time we spoke that you'd been in the music industry for 20 years as well. So that's quite a journey in itself. So that's incredible that after that, you moved into advisory. And, I kind of noticed a theme there that obviously Harold took a bet on you. And I think in some ways you've paid that forward, right, by taking a bet on people. And obviously, they've done good.
The secret to management is hiring very smart people and letting them do what they can do best. And I always hired people that were smarter than me, and they made me look good.
Yeah, something for all of us to take away and learn.
Yeah.
Jack, it's interesting also you talk about how it was commission only and then, you guys wanted to move to a fee only practice. Was that when that trend kind of started in the early 90s?
Well, Evensky literally wrote the book on wealth management. Computers weren't all that powerful in those days. I built my first computer at 8086 kit, and I got a C prompt, and I said, now what do I do? But I paid extra. I paid $795 for 20 megabytes of hard drive space.
Wow.
And now we carry 64 gigabytes in our pockets. So, we kind of grew with the computer industry. When I first started with Evensky, he had state-of-the-art. He got the first Hewlett-Packard laser printer. He had a Xerox PARC WYSIWYG before WYSIWYG was anything. It took 1 hour to calculate a financial plan. Wow. And if you made a mistake and had to retype something, it took another hour to reformat the whole thing and do it all over again. Now we push a button. Our financial planning software is fast enough that we can change scenarios, push a button, and it flashes up in 3 seconds.
Yeah, no, tech definitely has changed the landscape. But also, Jack, I know why you said you know your tech, because you clearly remember every single thing from 30, 25 years back.
Yeah, it's been a long haul.
Right. But you were kind of maybe going on to the fee-only piece of the business, right? How that trend kind of started.
Well, we linked up with Charles Schwab. We were one of the very first advisory firms to sign up with what is now Schwab Institutional. So our master account was like number 308. So it was in the very, very earliest days. And we also used Portfolio Center when it was an independent product before Charles Schwab bought it. And then went on to use Tamarack, which was built on a Portfolio Center platform. So we did our own downloads. We did our own posting. In fact, the firm still does. They're moving to another platform now. Maintaining our own data was always a very high priority because we knew it was clean.
And tell us a little bit about how you operated. You mentioned who worked with you and who became partners.
When Carol came to work with me, we had about $15 million in assets under management. And in order to remain an SEC registered advisor, we had to have $25 million by April 1. And she had an extensive network of friends who knew she was a planner, and she just brought in all her friends, and we made that goal. And ultimately, we had to have $100 million to remain SEC registered, and we blew through that pretty quickly. We went from 15 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to over 100 over a 3-year period.
And that's almost like what you call in today's startup world, hockey stick growth. So what was the secret sauce, Jack? How did you guys make it happen?
The secret sauce was we did everything for the client. We did very little marketing. We weren't out trying to build the biggest practice. We just wanted to build the most client-centric practice. And what really built the practice is we brought in our peer group, the 40 to 50-year-olds, who were at inflection points in their careers. They saw what we did as real financial planners, and they looked at their parents and said, my parents aren't getting this kind of service. Would you meet with my parents? And that's where the real money was. And we built a multi-generational practice. So we started with the peer group that we had. They had very young children or growing children. They brought in their parents. When their children grew up, when the children reached 21, they became clients. Even though they weren't financially qualified, we took them anyhow. And we helped their children build their own financial wealth and make the right decisions. Because frequently, young people are sold insurance they don't need, the wrong kind of insurance. Financial planners treat insurance as a risk management tool. If you don't have a risk, you don't need insurance.
You don't need
So then as those children grew up and the first generation died off, what we call Gen 1, we maintained most of Gen 2 and brought in the brothers and sisters of our clients who inherited wealth from their parents. And then we have the whole network of grandchildren. And at one point, we had great-grandchildren. We were dealing with one 4-generation couple until the matriarch died. Now we were dealing with 3. And the babies that we started planning for with 529s, now they have children of their own.
You've seen it all, Jack. That's why, I mean, I love that secret sauce, right? Because you didn't go for like quantity and significant number of households. I think I love the focus that you went with folks in your peer group. Obviously, there's immediate resonance, and then they refer you to their senior generation, and then obviously you get to work with the next generation as well, which is very, very interesting. I think something that a playbook that I'm sure many advisors today can utilize too. One question I did have, Jack, was, today there's a big talk about the wealth transfer from the baby boomers to Gen X or millennials, but also changing client preferences and styles. Did you have to contend with that much? Like in terms of how, obviously you're working with multiple generations. Did they think alike, or did you have to kind of change how you engaged?
I mean, we had web portals and electronic statements. Most of our clients still wanted paper statements. That is changing. But we stuffed envelopes every quarter, and we were extremely efficient. We were very, very lean. We had one support person. Then we hired a operations manager about 11 or 12 years ago. We never knew what she did, but she knew exactly what to do. And she's now retiring. She posted every day. She was a compliance officer. Then we had a client service person who grew up from the receptionist. Everybody is credentialed in the whole firm except the receptionist. The client service person who started out as a receptionist went back and got a qualified paraplanner degree. And I mentored her through that process. And in fact, I just got an invitation to her wedding yesterday. So I'm looking forward to going back to Florida for her wedding. But very, very lean on staff. And that was one of the things that differentiated Evensky. They had 14 or 15 people. We had 3 or 4. And
right.
I think it's 8 now. But
8. And and actually that was going to be my next question, because I know you've talked about having a lean team, and obviously that plays to your strength in terms of running efficiently. But was there ever were there ever times where you just didn't have enough people, in the sense that, and I know, Jack, you're also a big proponent of work-life balance, right?
Yes.
Did it ever feel like you needed to hire more people and just grow even further, or you were very happy with how the pace at which you were growing? Okay.
We never felt overwhelmed. We came in at 9 o'clock in the morning and basically left at 5. Our managing partner, Carlos, now goes in at 10 and leaves at 6 because he takes his kids to school. He goes to their baseball game or their soccer games or whatever kids do these days, their band concerts. And it was a lifestyle practice. It was not a dog eat dog.
A growth machine or something.
Yeah, right. We didn't care about making money. I mean, we made money as a result of doing good work for our clients. And the clients brought in other clients who brought in other clients. We did almost no marketing. We didn't entertain clients. Clients don't want to come to parties necessarily. They don't want to necessarily be exposed to other clients. Just take care of us and our family. And if you do that well, we had very, very little attrition, loss of clients in the practice. And when we did, either they said, well, I can do it myself, I'm on autopilot now, or it was not lost to other firms or competitors.
Right. And I think that that's an important point you make there, that if you do the main thing that you have a relationship with the client properly, then everything else just follows, right? You don't have to chase business, chase revenues, it'll come, which is great to hear. I think also you mentioned there, Jack, that largely your new business came from good word of mouth and referrals.
Yes.
Is that also quite reflective of the industry in general, or are there good channels, other channels that work well for?
I think a lot of people are doing heavy marketing. They sponsor programs. They do educational activities. They join country clubs. They play golf. We didn't do any of that.
Right.
I had networks because I went to concerts and opera, so I met people, and people would ask questions. And as you answer their questions, they see, this is different from the experience I'm having. I would tell clients in initial meetings, managing your money is only worth 25 basis points. You can go to online platforms and for 25 basis points, they'll manage your portfolio just fine. What are you paying for the other 75 basis points? Or what are you getting for the other 75 basis points you're paying for? If you're not getting real advice, if you're not getting life planning, if you're not getting those financial questions answered that you need, you're in the wrong relationship.
Right. And I think, in fact, almost like Jack, you're reading what my next question is going to be. That was going to be my next question as well, because I know you've made that statement before as well. And today there's massive fee and there's some level of margin compression happening at the top, around that 1%.
I think there is, but those firms that are delivering real service and real value to the clients, there's not a lot of fee pressure. So,
right.
Things may change in the future. Artificial intelligence may change all of this, but I was glad to get out of the business when I did, because I think things will change dramatically. But I won't have to deal with it.
Yeah, no, I think there's. I know you and I have spoken about this briefly, and of course, you're watching from the sidelines as well. A lot is changing and very fast, but I think the basics of advisory remains the same. It's still very much human-led. I think where tech can come in is to help optimize some of the workflows. Obviously, that will incrementally or exponentially change in the coming years as well. One thing I did want to
still want to deal with people. They don't want to deal with computers. They don't want questions answered by chatbot. I'm trying to deal today to close my employee account with the state of Virginia. And I've been trying for over an hour. I can't get a hold of anybody. I can't even get the right number. People don't want to do that. And they're willing to pay to talk, like concierge doctors. People are willing to pay an annual fee to have a doctor that you can text, and they'll text back.
Right. In fact, I was at a conference recently, and at one of the sessions, somebody asked a room full of advisors, have you ever felt like you were a therapist for your client?
Of course.
And everyone's hand went up, which kind of shows how human the engagement really is. And, tech and AI can do a lot of things, but it's not going to replace. Some of these things are not easy to replace. There's something more than just efficiencies.
Money means different things to different people. For very few people, is it just a commodity. There's major emotional attachment to money, fear, greed, all kinds of emotions come into play. So you have to filter all of that and understand the person you're dealing with and what is their relationship to money.
Right. And actually, having said that, one of the things that has come up in recent conversations, how the markets have just been on a bull ride the last 10, 15 years, so to speak. I mean, there have been these occasional dips, but it's kind of come back up. Obviously, during your time, there was the financial crisis, the dot-com. And
there was something every 2 or 3 years. But the hardest part of being a wealth manager is keeping people from acting on their fears. Because if you let them act on their fears, that's when they do damage to their wealth. Money's like soap. The more you handle it, the smaller it gets.
Right. The less you look at it, the better, right? And that's probably where having an advisor really helps as well. The right advisor, of course.
So
sure.
We also were very communicative with our clients. When things went haywire, we sent out blast emails that day. Here's what's going on in the market, and here's what it means. And if you look back, there have been these events on a consistent basis. You don't panic every time the event occurs. And it's all right to own your fears. Yes, panic, but on the other hand, don't act. You can panic, you can stress, you can do anything. Just don't.
Right. Be human, react, but don't act, I guess, is a good way of...
React, but don't act. That's a good one.
Jack, coming back to tech, obviously, you really appreciate the way you kind of went about it in terms of the human side of it, the engagement, transparency, honesty. But obviously, as you built out your firm and spent more time in the industry, tech also made incursions in a positive way, in many ways, right? So how was that for Firestone? Like, how did you utilize tech? And also, is it in some ways fair to say that tech can also be overhyped sometimes? I mean, obviously it's an enabler, but what is your view on that?
Tech made things easier, but it also complicated everything that we did. So one of the reasons I retired when I did is I didn't want to learn a whole new software system to manage portfolios. We installed Tamarack in 2013, and it was a full week of training out there. And then we had to install the Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which I never did learn. And the week I was out trying to learn Microsoft Dynamics, we were going through an SEC audit. So I was on the phone with the SEC all the time. We had a totally clean audit because we just did things right. The last audit we went through was all about technology and cybersecurity, and we knew so much more than the auditors that they couldn't even find anything to issue a letter. It's been an interesting ride.
Are you keeping tabs on technology now?
Yes.
Or the industry in general?
A little bit. I've gotten myself off almost all of the marketing emails from people. I kept my firm email address because it's really the only one I've ever used. I have another address, but I never use it. And I talk to the firm on a regular basis. They're managing my money, so I have to talk with them.
How are they managing your money? Is it the same principles at play, Jack?
Basically, yes.
Okay, good.
I call Anthony and say, just do whatever. And the problem is you're going to get what the markets are going to give you. And there's very little that money managers can do to improve the results of the markets. Now, I know that's not a well-shared view, but if you look at active mutual funds, so few of them have outperformed just the basic S&P. So active management is really a sales vehicle and not necessarily a viable strategy. If you invest in all of the sectors of the market, have a market cap weighted portfolio, you're going to do well by keeping expenses low, by not trading too much, by rebalancing on a regular basis when things get out of whack. But that's really what you should do. All of the other things that the wealth manager provides you are helping you make the right strategic decisions in your financial life.
And I think that's, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's where the value is.
And that's the remaining 75 basis points, right, that you were talking about.
Yeah. And we're on the low end. 100 basis points was our highest fee. Some people are 125, 150 basis points on the first million. We were only 100 basis on the first million. And we aggregated all the families. If a family relationship had $5 million, we would tear down pretty dramatically. So we were a lean machine and inexpensive as things went.
Lean, mean machine. I think great way to end the shop talk. It's been, fantastic. I hadn't expected anything less, Jack. But, one final question. How has life been post retirement? Have you missed the action or have you taken to, what you're doing?
Not at all. In fact, I've given significant advice up here. When you move into a continuing care retirement community, there are very substantial tax benefits. We pay an entrance fee, and a substantial portion of our entrance fee is a tax deduction. So there are plenty of people that had significant IRAs. They needed to use up that tax deduction in this year. So I advised a number, pull a lot of money out of your IRA this year to zero out your tax liability and then put it in a Roth IRA. It'll grow tax-free for 5 years and you draw it out with no taxes due. So they were incurring a tax liability, which was offset by the deduction for moving into a continuing care retirement community. I tell everybody I moved into an old age home, but it's a nice one.
But I can see once an advisor, always an advisor. I think they must all be very happy to have an in-house guru.
Yes, and we have almost every medical specialty that exists here. We could open our own hospital. But there's some very significant people here, retired government, retired military. We have 4 generals. We had an astronaut who was supposed to move in. One of the fellows here donated the whole engineering school to George Mason University. He was an Annapolis grad. I mean, it's just a really, really impressive population. My wife died 6 months after I moved in. She was in a nursing home and all of that stuff, but I have an age-appropriate German girlfriend. We're having a ball, traveling internationally substantially, and works.
Brilliant.
Hey, I waited till 77 to retire.
Yeah, I mean, you moved into advisory when you were 40, right? And then 37 years.
So I retired.
Yeah, I mean, you've done your bit, Jack. You've done your bit.
In fact, 2 of my clients from 35 years are coming for lunch to visit me today. They moved to Washington. Another one of my clients moved into the building I moved into because he did his retirement goals and said, "Oh, you're supposed to move to Washington." Well, that's where Jack's moving. Yeah.
Incredible. No, that's amazing to hear, Jack. Continue to have fun.
Right.
Thanks again for taking time. It was an amazing conversation. I'm sure we'll speak more in the coming days.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.